We are starting late again this week. We try to see what times are the best time to go live. So we kind of been playing with the timing, but originally it was at 7 p.m. and then we said, okay, let's push it back to 9 p.m. But today was a rough day and sometimes things happen, as we know. But anyway, thank you for joining us today. My name is Andrea, and this is Plenty. And we are here to share information that is going to increase the money in your pockets and increase your knowledge, right? Because sharing is caring and knowledge is powerful. Is powerful. So, anyway, my question is, have you ever pulled into a garage expecting to spend $20 for parking, but then you wind up spending $45? And you say to yourself, wait a minute, where did they come up with this number? Like, what was their thinking process when they actually calculated $45 for this space, right? And sometimes this is more than that, right? So tonight I am breaking down exactly how parking garages set their price, what actually goes into it, and why events nights feel completely different. So I spoke to a parking garage owner, and what he explained might surprise you. Things you don't even know, things you think you know about parking. You think you're saying, well, they just trying to make money, they ripping us off. And maybe in some situations they probably are trying to rip you off. But there's sometimes a science behind it and a reason why the pricing might be more expensive for parking in one location and versus it being parking in another location. So first, let's talk about regular day pricing, not events, right? Garages are businesses, and like any business, they have real operating costs, right? So, all my entrepreneurs out there, all my businesses out there, we all know there's costs. Even if you don't have a brick and mortar, even if you have a business that you're doing inside your home, there are always going to be operational costs that come with it. So, like for a parking garage, it could be insurance. Insurance is very expensive for garages, especially for garages that are located in New York City. Lease payments. Many garages, they don't own the space. They don't own the parking garage. They actually lease it from someone who owns it. Um, Employee wages, that can be the valet attendants, right? So a lot of times we go there and we see the valet attendants, and if the garage is open 24 hours, which means they have to pay a valet attendant for each shift that they're working. Security management, also utilities, which is the lighting that comes with it, 24/7 lighting, especially if it's 24/7 garage. Maintenance and cleaning, technology systems, and the payment processing. So when you go to the parking garage and you pay with your credit card and they give you that ticket, like that is a ticketing system that they use. Taxes, right? They have to pay taxes. Like, in New York, taxes could be crazy. So, I was told that from the parking garage, I was told that even before they think about how much it's going to cost, the demand for parking is that they have to make sure that the pricing cover these base costs. So industry reports show that operating costs per parking space can range into hundreds of dollars per space annually, depending on labor and facility type. So the base rate is about keeping doors open. And many of us know who own businesses know that, yes, we go into business to make a profit. So it can cost a certain amount of money. Hello, hi. It can cost a certain amount of money that just to keep your doors open, but it can also cost you a certain amount of money because you want to make a profit. We all go into business to make a profit. We go into business to serve, but we also go into business to make a profit, right? So also, excuse me, garages absolutely check where nearby garages are charging. So when they go to make a determination of how much they're going to charge for parking at that location, They think about the operation costs, and then they also think about their competitors. So they actually go to different garages that's in the same area, look at how much they charge for parking, right? So for example, if garage A charges $20 and garage B charges $35, driver's gonna choose garage A. I know I will. And so prices must reflect the local market. So parking isn't priced in isolation. It's influenced by the block, the neighborhood, and what alternative drivers have. So we know that. I mean, a lot of times when we think about where we want to park our vehicle, we think about which one is going to be the cheapest for us, right? So when a parking garage is actually setting the tone on how much they're going to charge, they realize that they have to be competitive, right? They have to be able to meet somewhere in the middle, right? So another one is demand. Now, this is where people really feel parking is when the demand. If the demand for parking is high, then the prices are high, right? So parking spaces are a perishable product, which meaning that if a space sits empty tonight, it can't be sold tomorrow, right? So think about so for operators, the lower prices are during slow demand. So if you notice that a lot of times parking be like, oh, come into the early bird special, and you can, if you get in at 5 o'clock in the morning and you leave at this time, we'll charge you like $19 for the day. Or exactly. Or if they say to you, like, we have a midnight special, right? So they have a midnight special. Come in at 11 o'clock to 7 in the morning, then you pay a certain price. Because in certain areas, they realize that the parking is not, they don't have a high demand at that time, but they also want to be able to generate money off of that space because it's just an empty space sitting there and they're not generating revenue. But if they realize that in that area that, is very busy, like 42nd Street, right? It's going to be busy at a certain time. Absolutely. It's going to be higher at that time. Or there's events that's happening. So, people who live in New York, Barclays Center, Madison Square Garden, any places that have a lot of people, yes, they're going to charge you more because the demand is higher. Okay. So, so let's break it down. Let's just break it down real quick. Thousands of drivers arrive within 1 to 2 hours. There's limited supply, increased staffing needs, traffic control challenges, and higher willingness to pay for convenience. So event pricing is a regular business pricing plus compressed demand. So that's the difference. It's like when a parking garage owner thinks about the demand, and demand could be because of the timing, it could be because there's an event, and this can actually increase the pricing of your garage experience or your parking experience. So let's think about it as a trip, right? So for example, if you're flying, right, it's the same plane, it's the same crew, but the prices change based on demand, right? Or Uber, same car, same driver, but the surge prices when demand spikes. I mean, I know people know that for Uber. Like it could be one day you're paying like $10 to go from, the one side of the city, and then next when it's on a Friday, on a Monday it might cost you like $10, and on a Friday it might cost you $30. And you're like, wait a minute, what happened? Never thought of that. Yeah. So hotels, think about it. Same room, but higher rates during conferences. So you might have a hotel that you normally go when, a certain location is not expensive, but if there's a big conference that's actually happening in town, they're going to increase the pricing because the demand is high. So think about that when you are parking in a certain space when there's an event actually occurring. So parking works the same way. And then also, now that we understand how pricing works, here's how to avoid overpaying. So to avoid overpaying, check prices before leaving, right? If you know that you're going to a particular area, and I always say if you live in New York City, there's a certain app that New York City has that lets you know about alternate side parking rules in certain areas. You can go and put in the your address of where you're going, and it'll let you know what the rules are, right? But always check to see what the pricings are. And you can go, for example, you can go to plenty.com and you can type in the address of where you're going, see if there's any parking garages in that location. And if they are, you can see how much it costs. And then also reserve earlier in the day so you can avoid the demand spike, right? Or you can also get on that early bird special. So think about it like that. And then also what you could do is you can avoid peak event arrival windows. So that's another thing. If you know that when you're going to a certain location, there's events that's happening. Even if you're not going to that event, but you want to park, you might still have to pay that fee. So, like for example, Barclay Center, they have their parking garages have event parking prices. You might be just going in there for something else to park your vehicle, but you might have to pay that too because they don't know if you're not going to Barclay Center or not, and they don't know that you parking on the same day that they're having a game. There's a game that's taking place, there's a concert taking place, and you're gonna have to pay that fee. So you have to think about it like that, right? So try to avoid it. Try to avoid it the best way you can, especially if you're not attending the event. Try to figure out a way to get around that. Or you could walk a few blocks, right? So if you know that you are going to an event and you don't want to pay the event parking price, you might have to walk maybe 4 blocks, no, not 4 blocks, probably longer than that. But you can actually avoid to pay that extra $25. So if you want to put on your comfortable shoes and put on your coat because it's a little chilly out there, then you can walk it. Sometimes people actually take an Uber, so they all like park super far, not super far, but far enough that they have to take an Uber and then take an Uber to that location. And they might wind up saving $25 and also avoid the headache because when people come out of those events and they trying to get to their car, it's a long line just to wait for them to get their car, and they wind up spending 25-30 minutes just for them to get their car and then have to fight traffic to get out of the location. So, and also don't drive blindly into the first garage. So you might actually go into the garage. You go to the first garage because maybe you're in a rush. I be in a rush sometimes, so I understand that. So you might be in a rush. You got to get somewhere quickly. You don't like, listen, I'll pay this $50 because I'm going to be late. It could be late for an appointment, late for work, whatever it is. And you're just willing to take the first thing that's available. So try to either leave earlier, right? Leave earlier, check pricings before you reserve and book parking. Like I said, you can go to our site. There's other sites as well. Go to www.plenty.com and you can reserve booking, or you can go somewhere else. But that's one way that you can avoid it, and then you can get an idea of how much the pricing is. Because the first thing, if you're in a rush and you're trying to get to a show, work, or you're meeting, so whatever it is, right? And you're in a rush, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the first parking garage and you're not going to think about the pricing. So let's try to prepare ourselves because we're all about saving money, keeping money in our pocket. That's what we all about. Okay. So like we said, information saves you money. And that's what we're about. We want our plenty family to have plenty of time, space, money, and plenty for everyone. That is our goal. We're all about sharing because sharing is caring. We're all about knowledge because knowledge is power. So anyway, that is it. It's very short, not long. Just wanted to drop some jewels on you. Some people didn't know. So listen, if you liked it, please hit that like button, that little thumbs up. It takes like 2 seconds to do that. Really appreciate it. And if you please share it with someone and follow us, subscribe to us because we give information like this all the time. And if there's something that you would like us to talk about when it comes to parking, drop it in the comments because we are looking for ideas. We're looking for ways that we can always educate our people. So anyway, thank you. God bless. Have a great evening. Take care.